Hello everybody, welcome back to Muggles and Mocha. We're talking about Chapter 8 in Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, and I just felt like starting with a cheesy introduction today, so yay, excitement! And I know I said I'm excited for fall, but I'm also not one that really likes the cold, so there's that. But I feel like there are a lot of good things about fall that kind of outweighs that, so I guess it's okay. And I'm actually dressed in orange today because we cover Halloween in this chapter, and this was the best I could do when it comes to Halloween attire. But I also roped my mug into it. I have an orange gradient mug, and actually, if I can turn it around, it's from the Columbus Zoo. So, happy Halloween from the Columbus Zoo. But yeah, we're covering Halloween today, and so I was just feeling festive and in the spirit, and I'm excited to break it down and talk about it with you guys. But first, if you're new here, hello! This is a Harry Potter book club, and we would love to have you on board with us as we go through each and every Harry Potter book, every single chapter. It's going to be fun, and we really get to take a deep dive into some of the maybe less talked about topics, and we have a rant stick. So, this book club is actually connected to my editing website, MadisonKdarby.com, where I offer different book editing services and writing services. And whether you're new or you've been here for a while, if you like these videos, please feel free to like and subscribe, and then you can get updated whenever I release videos. And it actually does help when it comes to YouTube's algorithms and all of that. So yeah, press the like button. But speaking of Halloween, I know that I'm just dressed like this, however festive this may be, because of the chapter we're talking about for this week, but maybe we could have a spooky episode when our Halloween comes around, maybe on my favorite magical creature or something scary. There's a lot that we can dig up from the Harry Potter books to talk about when it comes to Halloween, so just let me know in the comments if that's something you'd be interested in. Also, I had an idea that maybe we could have like a costume contest. I know we're digital, but you could send me a picture of your costume either through Instagram, Facebook, the contact button on my website, or you can email me at MadisonKdarby@gmail.com and just send me a picture of your Halloween costume, and I can feature my favorite here on Muggles and Mocha around Halloween. So seriously, if that's something you're interested in, I think it would be pretty fun. Let me know, and I'll confirm the dates soon for that if it looks like that can be a go. I guess that means I'll need to dress up for our video when the time comes. I do want to dress up for Halloween. I haven't done well the last couple of years, but this year I want me and my husband, Bishop, to be Aang and Katara from Avatar: The Last Airbender. I've already told y'all that I've really gotten into that show, but I think it'd be really fun. And maybe I can get Bishop to shave his head and paint an arrow on it. I don't know. But moving on, we have time for Halloween, I guess. I have my coffee ready to go. Get yours, and let's start talking about Chapter 8 of Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. So this chapter is called the Deathday Party, and first of all, for the article today, it's all about ghosts, what it means to be one, the types of lives they live, especially the ones who live at Hogwarts. It does get a little gloomy, just because to me, ghosts live a very sad life, but I promise it's interesting. So click down in the description box if you would like to check that out. And we're going to talk a little bit about ghosts here today too, so let's get started. We start this chapter with more Quidditch, and the Gryffindor team is freaking out over Slytherin's new brooms. They all have those Nimbus 2001s. And also, I love the little info we get about the changing of the seasons at the beginning of this chapter. J.K. Rowling's really good at throwing that little information in there, whether it be about the classes or the weather outside or just what's going on in the hustle and bustle of Hogwarts life. And we also get those small details earlier in the books that you can look back on, and it's a little bit of foreshadowing for us that's very subtle, I think, such as Ginny being persuaded to see Madame Pomfrey by Percy because she looks pale. Looking back, we know that this would have been a terrible time for her because the first attack of the heir of Slytherin is about to happen soon. So she would have been knee-deep in the diary and Tom Riddle and just all the terrible things that are going on with that. So yeah, Ginny's having a terrible first year at Hogwarts. Now, we start this chapter with Harry coming in from Quidditch practice, and he runs into a person who's going to guide the direction of this chapter from here on, and that is nearly headless Nick, who is upset because he hasn't gotten accepted into the Headless Hunt. Now, question for you. Are you upset that this plot point got left out of the movie? Are you happy? Does it bother you at all? For me personally, I don't have a very strong opinion on it because I think the purpose of this scene, in the book at least, is twofold. First, it gives us a brief introduction to Moaning Myrtle, who's going to be an important character, as we know, from this point forward in the book. And second, it ensures that Harry, Ron, and Hermione weren't at the Halloween feast, which makes it look really suspicious when they find Mrs. Norris petrified at the end of the chapter. So I understand why it was left out of the movies, because it is quite a side point. In the movies, they find other ways to introduce Moaning Myrtle and to show that Harry, Ron, and Hermione weren't at the feast, which causes everyone to look at them with suspicion whenever they come across the creepy message in the hallway. But at the same time, I do appreciate it in the books, not just because of the purposes that it serves, but also the world building that's done here and the further development of Nearly Headless Nick, who's much more important in the books than he is in the movies. Also, I love Nick's whole bitterness about not being fully decapitated. Poor guy. Okay, I have some fun facts about ghosts. This is some that I included in the article, but it's just to get us into the mood and into the idea of what ghosts are in the Harry Potter universe. So, ghosts are three-dimensional imprints of a deceased witch or wizard. In J.K. Rowling's world, Muggles aren't able to become ghosts or actually even see them fully. And J.K. Rowling goes so far to say that if Muggles claim that they do see a ghost, they're either lying or they're a wizard who's just showing off for the Muggle world. But anyway, something I find really fascinating on the topic of ghosts is that they are stuck the way they are when they die. Kind of like a picture, like the pictures that you get in Harry Potter. Now, with ghosts, while they can obviously interact with the living and feel emotions, the main emotions and their personality remain the same as when they died. Like, they don't really get to grow or change as people after that. For instance, it's been 500 years since Nick's botched decapitation, and he's still just as bitter about it now as he was then. Or Moaning Myrtle, she's still sad and crying all the time because she was getting bullied when she was killed. So she's constantly thinking people are making fun of her or bullying her. Then you have the Bloody Baron, who is silent and gaunt and scary because he's filled with remorse about the fact that he murdered Helena. And Helena too struggles with issues that we know she went through with her mom, the Baron, and the diadem. She's very grim. I don't know, it's just like these people are stuck in the state that they were when they died. They don't really grow or change as people after that. Like I said, this is all covered in the article in more detail, but that was probably my favorite part of what I was researching about ghosts in the Harry Potter universe. So back to our chapter. Harry is talking to Nick and he gets in trouble for trailing mud everywhere. Please. By Filch and Mrs. Norris. And Harry's taken to Filch's office where he sees all these cabinets that are dedicated to student wrongdoings, and it just makes me really wish we could have a book about James and his friends, the Marauders, and all of the crazy stuff they would have gotten into at Hogwarts. Like, can you imagine what all is in there? That would be really fun. So Harry's actually saved by Nearly Headless Nick, who persuaded Peeves to distract Filch. But while Filch is gone, we learn about something else that is very fascinating when it comes to people in the wizarding world. Harry finds Filch's Quick Spell course, which basically teaches people who are having trouble with magic how to do it or be better at it. And while Harry won't find this out until later in the book, this is the first instance we get where we see that Filch is actually what they call a Squib. A Squib is someone who was born to magical parents but doesn't have any magical abilities. And honestly, I know that Filch is a character that we all really don't like because he is terrible, but looking at his situation, I just feel so terribly bad for him because can you just imagine being born into the wizarding world, but you're never really truly able to be a part of it. Like, I just can't even imagine what that's like. And actually, this is pretty rare. There's only a couple that we know of in the book series, and some of these I haven't even heard of, really. I just found this list. So we have Angus Buchanan, Arabella Figg, which, as we know, is Harry's next door neighbor. She and Filch are the only two that we really know and get to know throughout the series who are Squibs. Then you have Argus Filch, obviously. Sirius Black, who is blotted out of the family tree of the Blacks. Then the Thurkill brothers, Dolores Umbridge's brother, and possibly Gilderoy Lockhart's sisters. It's actually said that he was the only magical child born into his family. So, and then there are some that people believed were Squibs that haven't actually been confirmed. Like Merrippy Gaunt's father calls her a Squib, but I think it's just an insult. I don't think she was actually a Squib. I think she did possess magical abilities. I don't know. It's been a while since I've read that part of the book, okay? But being a Squib really does tell us a lot about Filch's bitterness, especially towards the Hogwarts students. Like, he's obviously wanting to learn magic because he's got this quick spell course, and he won't ever be able to. So instead, he has to watch the magical world around him, all of these kids that he probably views as ungrateful, getting to learn magic, that all this bitterness has just been steadily building in him his whole life. And actually, many wizarding families who have Squib family members try to get them to integrate into the Muggle world, because living in a world you will never truly belong in or be able to function in is just so much more painful. But I do think Hogwarts is where Filch wants to be, I guess. I mean, no one's forcing him to stay here and do this job. And I do think it's really nice that Dumbledore lets him stay. Although I wish that he could use like some sort of wizarding things to clean. Like, he's just having to scrub all the time. Like, don't they have like a magical vacuum cleaner or enchant a broom to help him out? I don't know. But at this point, Harry doesn't know that Filch is a Squib. And when Filch comes back, he just pretends that he didn't read his quick spell letter. So Filch is so flustered, Harry gets off this time and does not get punished for the mud. Like I said, he was saved by nearly headless Nick, but in return, Nick asks him to come to this 500th Deathday Party, which just sounds terrible. But Harry is so sweet to people. I've talked about this before, and I'll talk about it again. Harry's compassion toward others who might be struggling with something, who might be upset. You especially see it with Luna Lovegood later on in the book series. Harry is just such a pure character, and I love how he treats other people who are going through something bad, like nearly headless Nick being upset about this headless hunt thing. Harry offers to talk him up to the headless hunt, so go Harry! And pretty quickly in the chapter, we are at the Deathday Party. A couple of things we see here are, it's freezing. The music is musical saws, which I'm going to be honest with you guys. Reading this as a kid, I thought I was missing something. I thought that like maybe musical saws was a thing. Maybe it is. Hold on, I gotta look this up. What the heck? Okay, after looking it up, musical saws are a thing, and I just watched someone play Ave Maria on one, and it was actually beautiful. I don't think that that's what J.K. Rowling intended here. I don't know how they're playing these saws, but I'm guessing it sounds more like a saw. And then last, after the music, the food is rotten. So overall, this party is just a terrible place for human beings to be. But all of this actually shows us a lot about ghosts. A couple of things we see are ghosts, especially if there are many in one place, cause those around them to be cold. And they also make flames turn blue, which is kind of awesome. And for the music and the food, this shows us more about how ghosts are able to interact with the world of the living, because they're not really a part of the world. They can't partake in all of the things that humans are able to do. Like, it doesn't seem like they can smell really, obviously, or taste unless the food is rotten, or in this case, the taste is horribly exaggerated. And this is what I think is true of the music too. It has to be harsh, in your face, exaggerated, loud, because to the point that it's not even music in the real world, because it seems like that's the only type of thing they can either hear or take pleasure in, because they're so far removed from the world of the living. And that's the only way they can experience these things. And even then, I don't know if they actually are. The guy who walks through the rotten salmon says that he can almost taste it, which is almost worse. And it's kind of crazy. In this chapter, we learn about 2 different types of people or beings that are living in the wizarding world but can never truly be a part of it. You have ghosts on one side and you have squibs on the other, and it's just kind of depressing. In my article, I do go into this a little bit more and talk a tiny bit about Sirius Black, surprise, and the conversation that Harry has with Nick about him in the Order of the Phoenix after Sirius's death. So check it out. I really enjoyed that part, even though it does get a little down. Basically, long story short, I am glad that Sirius is not a ghost. At this party, Harry, Ron, and Hermione interact with a couple of people, or ghosts, whatever. We have Peeves, Moaning Myrtle. Harry tries to talk to Patrick of the Headless Hunt, and that doesn't go well. But another fun fact is we find out that Nearly Headless Nick died on October 31st, 1492, which means that this book is taking place in 1992, which would be almost 20 years ago. No, worse, it will be almost 30 years ago. Oh, that makes it so much worse. And also, I'm terrible at math. Also, Harry's parents also died on Halloween, so they share a death day with Nick. But Harry, Ron, and Hermione leave this party. They're not there for very long because, like I said, for humans who are alive, it just isn't going well. But they discover Mrs. Norris and the writing on the wall, which I'm not going to linger on this too long because we're going to discuss this way more in detail next week. Honestly, this chapter was full of crazy stuff. In a nutshell, Harry hears that mysterious voice talking, and it is whispering about smelling blood and wanting to kill people. And as he's chasing down this voice, they find the message from the heir of Slytherin about the Chamber of Secrets being open again. And there's Mrs. Norris hanging from a torch bracket, petrified. What a horrible Halloween. And then to make matters worse, they're standing there and then everyone comes from the Halloween feast and just sees them in the hallway with it. It's not a good look. And that brings us to the last paragraph of this chapter. The chatter, the bustle, the noise died suddenly as the people in front spotted the hanging cat. Harry, Ron, and Hermione stood alone in the middle of the corridor as silence fell among the mass of students pressing forward to see the grisly sight. Then someone shouted through the quiet, "Enemies of the air, beware! You'll be next, Mudbloods." Can you guess who this is? It was Draco Malfoy. He had pushed to the front of the crowd, his cold eyes alive, his usually bloodless face flushed as he grinned at the sight of the hanging immobile cat. What a monster! Okay, I'm sorry, we're going to talk about this for a second. Draco Malfoy is crazy. Like, can you imagine this for a second? He's a 12-year-old kid who's coming from the Halloween feast, spots blood on the wall, talking about how the Chamber of Secrets has been open, and there's a hanging cat, and he's just smiling at it, his flushed face. Whoa! Oh my gosh, that didn't freak me out as much when I read it the other day, but just sitting here right now, just imagining him. Like, obviously he knows about the Chamber of Secrets from his dad, but just to desire for something like that to be released and knowing what it means, knowing that this means that Mudblood's, sorry, oh gosh, what am I saying? I shouldn't call, sorry, Malfoy's in my brain, I guess. knowing that Muggleborns are going to be hunted down and possibly attacked, and to be happy about that. Like, this kid, we just can't really understand, I think, through the movies, just how horrible Draco Malfoy is. Ugh. Or further than that, this kind of reflects on our video last week about how this Mudblood issue and viewing Muggleborns as lesser than pure blood wizards just damages someone's heart and soul, and the way that they view other humans. Like, it's terrible. But from here, the novel does take a turn, and we're gonna have suspicion, more attacks, spiders. Man, thank you for tuning in today. You guys know I love doing this, and I hope that you like it too. Again, let me know about that Halloween stuff. If you'd like a costume competition, let me know. And if you have any questions or comments about all the stuff that we discussed today, whether it be ghosts or squibs or any of these ramblings and rants I go on, please just leave a comment and I would love to hear from you. Next week, we'll be talking about Chapter 9, the writing on the wall, and just really getting into the dark material of this book as the Chamber of Secrets has been opened. So I'll see you next time, and I hope you all have a great weekend. Bye.